Today is the day where we leave the big chunky series and we start reading duologies. It's books that have incredible stories that are just sold in 2 books, so still low commitment but great books. And we're gonna see 12 fantasy book recommendations divided per moods: dark, cozy, romantic and epic. And starting with the dark category, we will start with the villains duology. So first book, Vicious by B.E. Schwab. This is a very plot driven, dark and multiple characters that are all of them grey kind of story. The themes that it touches and also the complexity of the characters really made it for me. And Vicious tells the story of 2 characters that were best friends at university. They were convinced that playing with near-death experiences might grant you powers, but then something terrible happens, and from that point onwards these 2 characters are the worst enemies possible. And we continue with probably one of my favorite duologies, which is the Winterwood series. So first book, For the Wolf. Dark story where the world is in perpetual twilight and there's a Beauty at the Beast retelling at its core in the first book, but honestly it's not that. It's very loose, and book 2, it's way more twisted, way more darker, but I loved it. There's gonna be this soft magic system. It will almost feel as a fairy tale gone dark. It's a dual point of view kind of story where the setting is that in this world there's this magic, there's monsters that loom over the people, over the land, and in order to stop these monsters, what they've done is that they sacrifice people to the wolf who is in this wood taking care of these monsters. And the thing is that the sacrifice is always the second daughter to the throne. So we will follow the story of these 2 sisters. The first one, which is the heir of the throne, and then the second daughter. They really love each other, so we will see a lot of bonding between them. And last but not least, here we have Monsters of Verity by B.E. Schwab. This is a young adult duology, and the first one is This Savage Song. The charm of this book, it's definitely the magic and the world building around it. It's based on the concept that violence breeds monsters, and there's going to be 3 different types of monsters. There's ones that are almost shadows, then we have another ones which are like almost vampires, and the most unique and rare of those are these monsters that are able to reap lives, and they do so through music. And so we will see different scenes where the action moments are actually through a violin reaping souls, and beyond that we also have this good versus evil kind of story, and it's an urban fantasy. And This Savage Song is going to be a dual perspective story where we're going to see in one side this girl named Kate. She is a daughter of the man that is controlling the city through fear and power, and so he is a very bad man, and it's also very mean, and she wants to prove her dad that she's also worth of this empire of fear. And on the other hand, we'll have this boy who is one of these monsters, the one with the violin, and he does not believe himself a monster, so he really wants to be good, and we will see how the story of the 2 blend. We move then to the next category, cozy reads, and we will start with 6 Crimson Cranes. This is such an adorable 18-inspired story. It also seems as a fairy tale. It will have an incredible reach and very beautiful setting. So if you're in for reading something that starts being like kind of like this palace with the ponds and then changes a little bit to the mountain setting, then this is the book for you. It's a quest at its core, and we'll also see a soft magic system here. 6 Crimson Cranes will tell the story of our girl Shaori. She has been cursed because she displayed a little bit of magic, and as a result she cannot talk, because for every word that she speaks, each of her brothers that are now turned into cranes will die. And so as a result she is expelled from this palace, and therefore she starts this quest on how can she return to her state. We keep the cozy vibes, but we change it into a sea environment with Fable. At its core is a story of a grown-up, of really understanding what is your role and fighting for your fate. And so in here we will see a lot of scenery of the sea, of different shapes. It's gonna be like sand in your feet, being at night, just watching the stars in the middle of the sea. So it's that heartwarming feeling. And it tells the story of our girl Fable. She is a daughter of the pirate lord, and he does not believe that Fable is able to manage in this world. So he kind of like banished her to this island where she needs to earn her place, and she needs to get away from it if she ever wants to become a pirate. And so we will kick off the story with her exactly doing so. She will have a little bit of magic herself, which will make her life a little bit easier, but not much. And last in this cozy section, we have Magic Steeped in Poison. Honestly, a duology that I adored with all my heart. I really consider these to be heartwarming, cozy, an easy read, a palate cleanser, and it's really, really short. The characters are compelling. There's this sunshine, almost grumpy kind of vibe. At the same time, there's this slow burn, but also this quest, these trials. So there's an incredible blend of different tropes that I really thought were interesting. But the most interesting thing perhaps is how the magic develops, which is through tea. And this story kicks off with Argyle realizing that something is really wrong with the tea because her mom has died because of a tea that she brewed, and her sister is now really, really, really sick. And so the only chance that Argyle has in order to redeem herself is to enroll herself in the set of trials that are about to happen in the Empire, to show the Empress that she is the greatest tea brewer of the Empire, and as a result she will get a boon to save her sister. And let's go now to romance, and I reckon all of these books have a great amount of romance but also of politics, and we will start with the Bridge Kingdom. At its core, it's kind of like an infiltration kind of story. Like, the girl is gonna go to the land of this man and she will try to grasp information to take it to the older kingdom, because two kingdoms are at war. There's no really magic in here, so we'll see different scenes which are honestly beautiful, but don't expect magic. It's also an incredible blend between a character and a plot-driven story. And the Bridge Kingdom starts with this first chapter that will really put your expectations like set. Such an incredible good beginning, and from that moment we really understand how these two kingdoms are really different and how they really see each other as being enemies. And this marriage that it's about to happen, it's mainly used by both parts to kind of like extract information. Once that Argyle gets there, she will also see that things are not as easy as it seems. This is not a book that it's super steamy, honestly, but there's a lot of like slow burn, that there's this pining from both characters. And then we go to a duology that has been pitched as being perfect for the lovers of A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I really agree, which is these Hallowed Vows. This is at its core a love triangle. It's also a chosen one, and really this almost portal fantasy. There's a little bit of a soft magic system as well, but I won't unveil how that happens. And this Hallowed Vows tells the story of Argyle, who really hates the Fae, but one day something terrible happens to her sister and she will need to start this path of, okay, I need to go really to Fairy, and as a result she will need to pass as one of the different bachelors for the Fairy Prince. And while doing so, she will also place herself in this situation where she needs to retrieve different magical elements in order to retrieve something that was stolen from her that is very precious to her. We will see this golden cord, this night cord, and overall there's going to be this family found vibe. And last but not least, we have The Wrath and the Dawn, which is a retelling of the 1001 Nights, and it's telling the story of Sherazad. It's such a beautiful book. Like, there's a lot of politics also in here, and our main character is gonna be really, really, really smart. She's gonna be brave, but she's also gonna be really cunning, and the story will unfold in this very rich Arabian setting, which I thought was really compelling. And last but not least, we have the epic duologies, those that really have such high stakes and that the story really unravels in either a very high fantasy or epic setting that you just want to keep reading. We will start with a duology that I really have very close to my heart, which is A Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is a story that maybe it's not for everyone because it's prose, it's almost purple. At its core, it's a grown-up story. It's also almost a quest at the beginning, but then we will have these different points of view, and we will have this soft magic system, these incredible characters that will warm your heart, but at the same time will shred it to pieces. We will have this romance that it's extremely cute, that it's so good, but there are topics that are really profound, very, very deep. And Strange the Dreamer will follow two main characters. One of them is Laszlo. He is this misfit that lives in this land where no one really believes about Weep, but he has been obsessed with this city forever. He believes that this city is where magic resides and that people has forgotten, but he does not know why. And one day, people from Weep comes seeking help, and Laszlo is the first one going into this quest. And you know, something terrible, it's happening in Weep. And there we will meet our other character, Sarai, who is a little bit magical herself. The story of the two blend and the story unfold from there. And we go now to a Japanese-inspired story called A Flame in the Mist, which is really a blend of a character and a plot-driven story. It had an incredible animals to lovers. It had such good reflections, and honestly, it's a little bit of a Mulan retelling. So if you like that vibe of a girl that has won fate, but she fights and she is in a little bit of a revenge path, but she discovers something that was not expected, this is the book for you. It has romance, but it's really not the main topic. It's rather more the change of these main character. Last but not least, the jewel of the crown of the duologies. So 6 of Crows. In here, we'll have a high status score. We'll have 6 different characters, an incredible pace, a character and a plot-driven story. We will have slow burn, a little bit of a soft magic system. We'll have great characters. 6 of Crows will start also in the Grishaverse, same world as Shadow and Bone, but we will follow this leader of this band that lives in this city, and they are kind of like the underdogs at this moment, but they've heard that there's something that they can steal, and if they steal it, they will be rich and therefore more powerful, and so they will embark themselves in this heist in order to steal something. But if the thing that you really like are standalones, I will link down below and in here a video where you can see 16 standalones also divided per moods.